Hello, my name is Randy Scamihorn, and this is the Chairman's Brief. As Chairman of the Cobb Board of Education, I am privileged to serve as the spokesman for the Cobb School Board. The school board, together with our staff, students, parents, and community, make up our team, striving for our common goal, student success. We've often said that the safety of our students and staff is our number one priority. Knowing they're in a safe place allows our teachers to teach at their best and our students to learn. Here to help us understand more about how this happens is our own Cobb Schools police officer, Dante Garnigan. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
Very briefly, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I can do brief. That's one of my specialties.
Well, we want to know about you, though.
My name is William Dante Garnigan, Sr. I was born and raised in Cartersville, Georgia, right up the road. My parents are Butch Garnigan and Margaretta Garnigan. I'm currently married to one of the sweetest ladies that you could know, Shanidra Garnigan. Hi, babe. She is actually a school counselor at East Cobb Middle School.
Okay.
I'm blessed to have 4 wonderful children. And I've been in I was doing a military thing for 13 years prior to becoming a police officer. And now that I have put this uniform on, I've been a police officer now 18 years.
Okay. And what made you decide you wanted to become a police officer originally?
I think it more so was my upbringing. My dad was a man of faith, a man of integrity. He is a man of, you're raised a certain way and you're supposed to follow a certain way. Big shoes to fill. I became a police officer because he always taught us growing up that you're supposed to help those that are less fortunate than you when you have the ability. And so in the way that in some of the things he instilled in me along with the community, I'm old school, so I'm from that old, it takes a village. So the whole village made me who I am today. And then following suit as to what he taught me along with the rest of my family, it was a no-brainer.
Well, what attracted you to becoming a school police officer, and how did you find Cobb County?
When I was brought up, I was always taught that big man has plans for everybody. So I guess it was his plans for me to be here. I started out, as I stated earlier, in the military. And then when I got out of the military, almost broke my mom's heart. I put this uniform on. So I became an officer in Wichita Falls first. And then when my mom became ill, I moved back here to Cartersville. Became an officer here in Cartersville and then transferred to Marietta. And I'm here now. Along the way of that journey, I did a lot of coaching. A lot of mentoring. And so when I was a cop on the streets, I was arresting a lot of juveniles, young people. And in the 18 years, that started to affect me a little bit. And I saw that there was a problem. And I'm like, well, if I'm arresting the kids at this stage in life, am I part of the problem or am I a solution to the problem? And wanting to be a solution to the problem, I decided maybe I should go and try to catch them at an earlier stage in their lives, maybe instill some of the things that was taught to me by my parents and my community and some of the great coaches I had growing up and my pastor and whatnot. And so when I came to that revelation, it was, again, a no-brainer. I'm like, let's go into the schools and try to help some of these kids the way I was helped. Because frankly speaking, if I hadn't had that, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair with you right now. So that's pretty much how I came to this point to sitting here talking with you today.
Oh, wow. Well, we need more people like you. And we need our youth of today could use all the help that they can get. When you go to work each morning and walk into the school, do you have a routine that you do? Do you have students that come up to you and talk to you, that want your counsel? And what level are you working now, middle or high school? Or tell us a little bit about your day as you go in.
Okay. My day starts out first thing in the morning with a prayer, because it's always a blessing to be alive today and to be able to do things that I do. So my routine starts out with my prayer. I do my Bible study. I'm on my way to work. I'm listening to my music in the car. I get there. And once I get to the school, I'm fortunate to have a wonderful, and all the principals, let me say this before I get in trouble, all the principals in Cobb County are great. But I'm fortunate and blessed to work for the #1 greatest principal, and Miss Tia, and I've learned a lot from her. So what I generally do is I'll go into the school, and she sits at the door as the kids are coming in.
What school?
At Barber Middle School.
Okay.
And so we're greeting the kids coming in, and I picked up on that. And so I took it one step further. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll stand out in the hallway during transition, and I'll speak and good morning to the kids, and that way they get to see me in a different light. As far as the day goes, I'm always trying to be seen and be available. When I talk with the kids, I always tell them my door is always open. I have an open door policy, open mind policy. And if I'm not in my office, I wear this little metallic leash that they can find me. So I'm always trying to be available to the kids. I started out at North Cobb High School. And again, with my background in coaching, it was easier and they're a little older. So it was a little easier to deal with the kids there in the sense that they saw me in a different light. Instead of, I'm affectionately known as Officer G. So instead of Officer Garnigan, they say, hey, it's Officer G or G. They see me on the track, basketball, and they get to see me in a different light. And it's easier for them to come talk to me when they can't perhaps talk to the counselor or the teacher or even their parents sometimes. So that afforded me the opportunity to be a better mentor in my case. And it also helped me to grow a lot in the fact that when you take the time out to listen to what the kids are saying, they're smart.
Sure.
They got a lot going on, but they're some smart kids. And when you take the time to speak to them and actually listen to them, I've learned a lot. And so what I did was the 3 years I was at North Cobb, I tried to become a better school resource officer and a better coach, better mentor and whatnot, whatever role I was filling. And then I've had the opportunity to take that and implement it into the middle school where I'm at now, and as well as the elementary schools that I have under my control.
You mentioned the term school resource officer. Some people didn't or don't realize that we have a school police department. Mm-hmm. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're the #3 largest police department. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what is the difference, if there is a way to describe, between an officer out in the city or the county and officer in the schools?
Okay. To be a school resource officer, you have to be post-certified. And to be a police officer, period, or a deputy, you have to be post-certified. And a lot of the officers at this department actually started on the streets. And then sometime in their career, like I did, decided they wanted to make a difference and became school resource officers. There more goes into being a school resource officer. That title should have other words added to it. And I say that because as a school resource officer, sometimes you have to be a dad. Sometimes you have to be a mom. Sometimes you have to be a mentor, a big brother, a big sister, coach, teacher. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to be a disciplinarian. So in being a school resource officer, we wear a lot of hats. Fortunately for us, we have a lot of good training that goes into what we do, as well as a lot of life experience. Like I said, I'm 56 years old. And one of the things I like to tell the kids is I wasn't always a cop. I could have easily, as I stated earlier, been somewhere else and not sitting here having the opportunity to speak with you. When you come from a broken home, when you're surrounded with drugs, when you live in the projects. Sometimes society has a way of saying, this is how you should be and this is how you're going to end up. Fortunately for me, I'm blessed that I had a praying grandmother and that village that surrounded me that afforded me the opportunity to make the mistakes I made, but still become the man that I am today. And I've been told, hey, you're a good guy and you're this, and this. I say I'm the man I am today because of them. It's nothing that I've done. It's that I'm fortunate and blessed to have had that village, to have had them parents. When you say school resource officer, there's a lot of hats we wear, a lot of things we have to do to help the kids.
One thing I'm hearing too is that seek out those and that will give you good advice.
Yes, sir.
That will mentor you in it, and it doesn't have to be a member of the family. Like if the family's struggling or if you're from a broken home. Is that true?
That's true, and especially there's a program that I'm part of with Lieutenant Wilson, Officer Rozier, and Officer Blackwell. It's called Concerned Cops, and one of the things that I explain to the students and try to get them to see is you don't always know where your help is going to come from. But then some of the places is the most unlikely of people that will help you. Like a lot of the kids look at police officers, and sometimes we're looked at as the bad guy. A lot of times some of the kids look at the teachers and the principals, and they look at them as, I can't go to them, whereas I try to get them to see those are the people you can go to when you have nobody else in your life. You got your parents first, don't get me wrong, but when you can't go to anybody else, those are the most unlikeliest of places that you're going to get the support, that your support staff is going to be. And we try to get them during that program to see that light as well and to try to see us in a different light as well as the teachers and the principals of the schools. So.
Have you had students to come back or students that see you, out in the shopping centers or whatever that come up to you and just say, Officer G, thank you.
Yes,
or
sir.
Officer G, how you doing? How do you feel about that, or does that happen to you?
The biggest reward for me is when a student comes up and say, Officer G, I remember, and a hug. My wife laughs because she said, is there anybody that you don't talk to? And I guess I'm much like my dad. I guess not. But she's witnessed kids coming and talking to me. And as a matter of fact, just this past week, one of the biggest things, I went to one of my schools, and there was a bag of goodies, which I love chocolate, but there was a bag of goodies. But within that bag also was all these cards from the kids. And I'm talking about elementary kids.
Yeah.
And just to see them put their heart into that card, that's my biggest reward. That's why I really do this job.
Yeah. And it kind of refills the gas tank, so to speak. I want to do some more.
We have a lot of special needs kids at our school. And when I watch them coming to school every day and obtaining their education and going out and going to PE and participating, I look at myself and say, there's no reason for me to complain about anything in life. My dad used to always say, when you think you got it bad, someone has it worse. So one of the biggest inspirations and one of the things, as you said, fills my tank back up, and as I say, recharge my batteries, is watching those guys. And then I get the high five, and I get the hug, and I get to go in their class and talk with them. And just not the special needs kids, but when I'm asked to come into any of the classrooms and speak to the kids, and you look at them, and you can tell the wheels are turning. They're like, wait a minute, this is not just a cop. He's a person who's been through some things and can relate to what we're going through. That really gets my battery recharged.
How can parents and guardians help their students stay safe at school?
So one of the things, the way I would answer the question that you asked is build that relationship with your kids by letting them know no one's perfect and that you can be honest with me. Now, the parents should also let the kids know sometimes there are repercussions for when you do wrong. So they need to teach them right and wrong at the house and let them know, hey, this is right and this is wrong, and explain that to them. And I think no matter what the grade level is, these kids are smart enough to understand the difference between right and wrong. And as far as being safe, once they build that relationship up with them and then let them know, hey, about our position as police officers, that we're here to protect them no matter what, as well as the staff of the schools, the principals, the teachers, the counselors, the custodians. Everybody is there for them, their protection. I think once the kids understand that and see the totality of everybody being that village, then they'll understand that they are safe and can feel safer. I know that's a long way to answer that question, but I think that's the best road to take when you're trying to make your kids feel safe.
What would you encourage students to reach out to their school police officer and build a rapport where they can go to them, like if they see another student with a weapon or another student's trying to start a disruption? Do you think that would help keep them safe, building that rapport? And I know police officers try to build that rapport.
I was going to say, I'm going to flip that.
Okay, good deal.
And I'm going to say this. I say the police officers should reach out to the kids, whether you're at elementary school, middle school, or high school. Build that trust and rapport with them. When you do that as a police officer, and they will understand and see you in a different light as, he's just not here to take someone to jail. He's here not only to protect me, but there's other facets of the game that he can bring that's going to help me as a student. Then when we as police officers build that, that's when the kids will start coming in, letting you know such and such is in the restroom doing this, such and such has this in their car. I would say it's up to us as officers to first and foremost build that relationship with the kids.
Well, I, for one, am glad that you found us and you found what you wanted to do to help those. So now I've recently learned that you've had a couple of awards given to you. And, well, I see, you're blushing a little bit that you're the Officer of the Year for this year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And that's got to be a really big honor to be nominated. That. What was your reaction when you learned of that? And do you know what brought that on to you being the Officer of the Year?
It's a blessing. And I'm fortunate that I have a great command staff, and I have great peers and great comrades who think enough of me. When I first heard about it, anybody would be happy, but as I stated earlier, those aren't the rewards that get me high, like I like to be. The rewards of the kids and the hugs and the smiles, and some kid going off to college and coming back and saying, hey, I did it because you believed in me. That's really the best rewards, but don't get it wrong, I'm honored that I was selected as that, but those are the rewards that I look for, and that's why I do the job that I do, the way I do it.
Okay. Well, as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add that comes to mind in general that you would like to share with our audience?
I would just like to say it's an honor and a blessing to be here. Well,
if I may also compliment you by allowing me to call you Officer G.
Yes, sir.
I absolutely want to express my appreciation not only to you, but to your family, to your wife, because she's helping kids too,
yes, sir.
Young adults.
Yes, sir.
And it's a never-ending process, and the rewards are great. Well, I for one, have just learned a great deal, and it certainly is a pleasure to get to know you, and look forward to seeing you in the schools.
Yes, sir.
So,
thank you.
And thank you for watching. If you run into a Cobb Schools police officer, please take a moment to thank them for what they do. Join me again next week to learn more about the great things happening in the Cobb County School District. Have a good day.